So George had his and my wife had hers, and then we got married. Well, now you start making new baggage and you're throwing all of your junk piles together. That gets very hard to start unentangling, right? And disentangling from each other. And so there's essentially three separate piles of things you have to start working through. It's the stuff you've done together and then the stuff you each had individually, right? And you can work on the together stuff and you can work on your stuff, but you can't work on your spouse's stuff. And that's a really hard piece because like you can see, well, just stop doing this, and this, and that won't bother you anymore.
So
Well,
easy to
because you're
see.
not, it's not your problem. You're an
Mhm.
outside viewer of it. And so for you, it may seem very simple, but to the person struggling with that conditioning, it's not a logical decision. They're having to undo years of programming essentially, right? And so we struggled early on really heavily. I mean, we fought a lot, and most of our fights weren't necessarily things we were actually doing to each other. It was reverting back to conditioning from childhood and basically assuming that this situation is just as scary as that thing that happened to you 10 years ago or whatever, right? 20 years ago. And that is really the hardest piece that all marriages have to figure out, is how to distance yourself from your inner child and kind of come back to your more rational, calm adult presence to have an adult conversation, even if it's difficult. The knowledge of our past and distancing ourselves from that conditioning was really the first step we both had to make. And as we both got better at those things, it became a lot easier to unpack the things that we had caused together, if that makes sense. If you can't diagnose a problem, you can't do anything to solve it, right? So you have to do a little bit of fact finding about your past and why you are the way you are, to have some understanding about that so that you can actually start to implement new behaviors and new patterns and take ownership of it. And then, I think we had kind of deceived ourselves for a while that, oh, we made it, right?